Welcome to the third installment of What's in My Bag series. I try to do these videos before a major trip just to show, based on the trip, what kind of gear I'm taking. So tomorrow morning I'm heading out to the Big Island of Hawaii, and the pretty much the only reason why I'm going, or the main reason why I'm going, is because on Black Friday this past holiday season, I came across this really awesome sale by Alaska Airlines to fly from Portland direct to the Big Island of Hawaii for about $350 round trip. So it kind of was too good to pass up, and now we're going. So for this trip, Hawaii, Big Island of Hawaii is the second time I'll be there, and very much nature landscape type of photography. Unfortunately, at this time of year, I believe there isn't much lava flow, so we won't have that. It's also right now, I think, projecting to be about a half moon. So stars will be there, but it might be washed out. We'll see. We're going to give it a shot. But mostly, coastal shooting, sunrise, sunset shooting. Thankfully, Hawaii, I believe, is 2 hours behind us in time zone, so it should be that much easier for us to wake up and get to where we need to go. So let's start with the gear. I'll start with the cameras, why I'm taking them, and then the lenses and the accessories. So for the cameras, I'm starting with probably the one that would be most expected, which is the Sony A7R. And that's because this is primarily a landscape shoot, and the A7R very much is the landscape photographer's camera, 36 megapixels, just tons of information, and just puts out a really wonderfully sharp image. For the night shooting, when we're going to be by the volcano or various points, hopefully with minimal light pollution, the A7S is the champ here. So this is the this camera is just amazing. If you have low light or night kind of astral photography, you can bump up the ISO. Usually I'll be shooting at ISO 3200 or 4000, and you'd be hard pressed to tell that it's at that ISO. It almost looks like ISO 200 or 400. So really wonderful camera for that type of stuff. And then this is kind of new for this trip. I haven't used it that much. This is my Sony A7. This is the original, not the Mark II, but I had it converted to infrared, so you can kind of see the filter kind of looks black, and by comparison, let me just take over like an A7R. You can kind of see that the filter is kind of gray, dark. That's because there's an infrared filter applied on top of the A7, and the reason why I'm taking it is because infrared responds really nicely to kind of lively, organic nature, like flora. So Hawaii has tons of that. Right now in Oregon, we're kind of in the midst of our winter season. It hasn't been raining too much, but most of the trees are dead. There are no leaves, so it's just kind of branches, and the grass is ugly. So I haven't been using it that much. But I think for Hawaii, it makes perfect sense to take it, which is why I will. So 3 camera bodies is a bit much, but again, these cameras are relatively small. They pack up nicely, and they're very light. So for the lenses, again, this is pretty straightforward. I'm going to start with the Sony FE 16 to 35 millimeter f4 lens. Zeiss lens, great lens. One of my go-tos for ultra wide, but also for when I'm getting really low to the ground now. I like getting wide shots. The kind of utility lens is the Sony FE 24 to 70 f4. Also Zeiss lens, beautiful kind of, again, utility lens. If there's kind of one lens and you want to play it on the safe side, this is the lens to take with you. For the telephoto, I was going to take the Sony FE 7200, but instead I'm going to take this Sony 70 to 400 A mount, which is an f4 to 5.6 variable aperture. And the reason why I'm going to take it is because I just don't know, I might just need the extra reach, so I'd rather have it. It's heavier, it's bigger, but it's one of my favorite lenses, and it just kind of like telescopes out. It gets really, really far. So if you need that extra reach, I have a teleconverter, but I'm not going to take it with me because I end up never really using it. Attached to the lens is this Sony adapter. This is the LAEA4 adapter, so there's this kind of shoot-through mirror that gives you actually phase detection autofocusing when you use this, which is kind of nice. And then, of course, my favorite, the Sony A-mount 16mm fisheye lens. And this has the Sony LAEA3, which is kind of the dumb adapter. There's literally nothing in between the sensor and the back of the lens. And I actually prefer that. The only reason why I don't have two of them is, you know, I ended up getting one of each. And the way that I see it is with the LAEA3, which has nothing, it's literally one less surface that light has to pass through. So both of them put out really beautiful images. I haven't seen anything. The only main difference is that with the version 4, you get autofocusing, and the 3 you don't. So landscape, I really don't autofocus to begin with. So that's really not a big issue. Now, new to any trip that I've ever done is the Sony Action Cam, which I'm actually recording this video on, so you get this super kind of wide angle shot. And you got this cool, like, I don't know if you can kind of see it, but I have this display. It allows me to control multiple action cams. And so I'm going to be doing a lot of video, kind of POV video on this trip. I have got a couple of these suction cup mounts, which will allow me to connect it. We're renting a Jeep Wrangler, an off-road Jeep Wrangler, which if you're going to Hawaii or to the Big Island, very much recommend. We had one on our last trip, and it was awesome. We were able to get to places that we definitely could not have gotten without the kind of off-road and four-wheel drive capabilities of the Wrangler. So we'll have these set on different parts. I'm also going to be, I'm almost ashamed to admit it, but I've got this, it's a monopod, it's a Sony monopod, but it's kind of like one of those selfie sticks. And the reason for that is I'm going to attach the action cam to it and essentially dictate as we're walking, because I really want to do more immersive videos. So that's going to be that. I also have this kind of mount here. It reminds me of the mount by Peak Design, which will allow me to connect it to the strap of my backpack and allow me essentially to have, I'll have the one camera on the selfie stick and one on this adapter, and it'll allow you to see in front of me and then at me. So could be cool kind of round trip video. We'll see. Also new, and this is not yet the 4K. The 4K action cam was announced just a few weeks ago at CES. I'll be getting them when they come out in a few weeks, but for now, this is the one that's been out. Still 1080p video, it's got GPS, it's got all the bells and whistles. So I'm really excited for that. Also new is this Garmin Oregon 600. I just got this today, actually. Go figure that Amazon delivers on Sundays. The reason for this is I just finished up a workshop in Death Valley, and my partner, James Brandon, had this. He just got it for his trip, and it was just really wonderful. And the reason for it is, well, two reasons for me. One, geotagging my photos is really important. I'm a big fan of geotagging. I've been using my phone, which does the job, but having a dedicated kind of really fine-tuned GPS device is great. I've had the older Garmin E-Trix series, and it was garbage. I hated it. I returned it. It was slow, it was inaccurate, and I just had really bad experiences. But from what I've seen of this, it's much faster. It's about almost triple the price. The E-Trix was about $120, and this is about $315 on Amazon. So it's a lot faster though, meaning you'll acquire a GPS signal much faster, and it just boots up faster. And so it allows me to do some geotagging, but it also allows me to drop waypoints. So waypoints are great. Like if I find something that's not marked, and it's something I want to recall, maybe for a workshop down the line, dropping a waypoint on here will make things super easy to recall where it is, because then I can load it on my computer and make a plan from that. So I'm going to try this out now. Rest of the stuff here is pretty straightforward. I got, I think, 6 batteries, 6 A7 series batteries, and 2 spare action cam batteries, so that's great. I've got rock feet, so these are the rock feet by Really Right Stuff. Super important. I'll be shooting on a lot of lava rock on the coasts, but I'll also be shooting on the beach, so we've got the Really Right Stuff spiked feet. this will help me kind of dig the legs into the sand. Not so much important if you're further back, but if you're by the tide where the water's coming in and you've got that wet, mushy sand, every time the waves kind of go in and out, you're actually kind of moving the tripod a little bit, and this just kind of helps secure that further down into the sand. I've got two, where's the other flashlight? Here it is. Actually, three flashlights. So this is this little Pelican 1910, little pen light. Puts out some good light. This is for just kind of like very, very minor, subtle light painting, which I'll be doing some of. Then I've got, again, my trusty Coast. This is the HP 14, AA batteries, really strong flashlight. I just used this in Death Valley in Rhyolite, as well as the sand dunes and Mesquite to do light painting. And it's such a champ. And then I always bring it, I don't always need it, but my Petzl headlamp, this thing is awesome. Again, I mentioned this in the previous video. It has these like sensors that will actually detect how much ambient light or darkness there is, and it'll adjust the output beam automatically. So very cool stuff there. Of course, standard SD cards and battery pouch. Battery pouch will be extra useful. These hold kind of 8 AAA or AA's. Extra useful for the GPS. I suspect the GPS will burn through a set of batteries, if on the entire time. It'll burn through probably a set a day. I'm not quite sure. James says he thinks he went through a set. Again, this magic fiber. These microfiber cloths are awesome. Like $10 for 13 of them on Amazon, and they feel like they're really high quality as far as microfiber cloths go. Shutter cable, critical. Cannot tell you how much I use this and rely on it, and I can't wait. Sony's supposed to release this wireless version of this, so effectively you'll just have this, and there's a little infrared beacon that sits in the hot shoe, and I don't have to have a cable, which is great because oftentimes this is tethered to my camera. The camera's super low, and I'm shooting above water, and I always worry that the remote's going to just like submerge. It actually happened to me, and I destroyed one of my remotes. And these are not the cheapest remotes, so protection is always handy. Got the SD cards, and then wrapping things up. So we've got the really right stuff. This is the TVC34L tripod, VH55 ball head. This is my no-nonsense kind of heavy-duty tripod. I have this travel tripod here. I'm not going to take it with me because a lot of the stuff that, from what I remember, that I was shooting, there wasn't that big of a hike involved. Not that that's an issue, but if it's a short walk, I'd rather have the beefier tripod. If I'm doing some really heavy hiking on the trip, I'll take the travel one. And then finally, I kind of mentioned, this is the f-stop Talopa, and I'm taking this one. I take that bag whenever I'm taking my 70 to 400 millimeter lens because the Mindshift Gear Rotation 180 Pro that I'll take when I'm only taking FE glass, it doesn't, the kind of camera compartment doesn't support the 70 to 400. And so I need a larger ICU or internal camera unit, which fits beautifully in the Talopa. I like the Talopa because it's got a dedicated laptop slot and a kind of bladder for what's it called, a Camelback, which I'll fill with water, and so that'll come with me. And I almost forgot, now I looked over, this will also attach. This is the filter hive by Mindshift. This has, it's filled with filters and adapter rings and holders by Format High Tech. I use Format High Tech for all of my filters, and actually I just got, well, about 6 weeks ago I upgraded to the Fibercrest line. So these filters now all glass, which is, it can be a bit nerve-wracking because it's glass, but so be it. For computers, I'm taking my MacBook Pro, my 13-inch MacBook Pro, and then for storage, I've got my, get some hair off this, the G-Tech EV ATC all-terrain case. So this is a shell with an integrated Thunderbolt connection. And then I've got the G-Tech, this is a 1 terabyte raw drive, that'll go in here. And then I've got a half a terabyte SSD drive that goes with me. That's my primary. This is my backup. So this will always stay back in the hotel, and the ATC goes out with me in the field. Oh, and then the last thing, just for processing, that is my Wacom. This is an Intuos 5 Pro. No, it's an Intuos 5 small. The Pro is the newer line. It's so small, it fits in with my laptop, and it's just great to be able to edit when I'm back at the room and have full capabilities. So that is basically it. I'm sure I'll be sharing stuff along the way. And if you have any questions about the gear, just feel free to leave your comments and I'll be sure to get to them. Otherwise, I will see you next week when we return, and I'll be sure to share some new photos. Thanks a lot, everyone.